For years, the one word on every NBA fan's lips was parity. It was this incredible, unpredictable era where we had 7 different champions in 7 straight seasons. It felt like any team, on any given night, could make a real run. The 2025 season seemed like the absolute peak of that chaos. You had wounded giants and new contenders popping up in the East, while the West was just a total logjam of teams who all thought it was their year. But what nobody seemed to grasp was that the seeds of the next great dynasty had already been planted. They were being watered by some seriously shrewd trades and a whole lot of patient development. The 2025 playoffs weren't just another tournament. They were the arrival of a storm that had been brewing for years. And it all led to a finals matchup that gave us a perfect underdog story against a powerhouse nobody was truly ready for. This wasn't just a championship, it was the coronation of a team so young, they became the youngest squad to win a title in nearly half a century. It was also the ultimate validation of one of the smartest rebuilds in sports history, a process that spun a single blockbuster trade into the foundation of a champion. This is the story of how the Oklahoma City Thunder's slow, methodical climb ended in a championship run that no one, not the experts, not Vegas, and definitely not their opponents, saw coming. But hey, before we get to the champs, we have to talk about the team that completely stole our hearts, the Indiana Pacers. Their trip to the finals was, and I mean this, nothing short of a miracle. They came into the playoffs as the 4th seed in the East, and believe me, they weren't on anyone's radar. Expectations were low for a team known more for its insane pace and team effort than for having a big superstar. But then the playoffs started, and something just clicked. Led by the absolute maestro, Tyrese Halliburton, who ended up leading the entire playoffs in assists, the Pacers turned into giant killers. They took apart the Milwaukee Bucks, they outlasted the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then, in a total shocker, they sent the New York Knicks packing to make their first NBA Finals since the year 2000. Their offense was just a blur of constant motion, and their defense, held down by the veteran Pascal Siakam, was tougher than a $2 steak. They were the perfect underdog, a team playing with house money and a kind of spirit that was just impossible to root against. They weren't just winning, they were challenging the very idea of what a title contender was supposed to look like. Meanwhile, out west, a whole different kind of storm was gathering. The Oklahoma City Thunder had steamrolled the regular season, winning a wild 68 games to lock up the #1 seed. But to a lot of people, they were just a paper tiger. Too young. Too inexperienced. Their real championship window was supposed to be years away, right? This was just supposed to be a practice run, a little taste of the postseason before they got serious. Well, that entire narrative got thrown right out the window. After sweeping the Grizzlies, they got dragged into a brutal 7-game war with the defending champion Denver Nuggets. It was the ultimate test. Were they legit? You bet they were. They dethroned the champs in a Game 7 that screamed, "We're here." Then, they handled a tough Minnesota Timberwolves team to punch their ticket to the NBA Finals for the first time since 2012. And this wasn't that old Thunder team. This was a juggernaut. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was playing like the MVP he had just become, a cold-blooded assassin when the game was on the line. But he wasn't doing it alone. Jalen Williams, or J-Dub, had exploded into a legit #2 star, a guy who could dominate on both ends of the floor. And the rookie, Chet Holmgren, was anchoring the defense, protecting the rim with a basketball IQ that was way beyond his years. This 3-headed monster, born from that franchise-altering Paul George trade, was ready. The league just didn't know it yet. This entire postseason was packed with moments we'll never forget. But which one stands out the most to you? Was it the incredible rise of the young Thunder, or the scrappy underdog fight from the Pacers? Let us know what you think down in the comments. And hey, if you're enjoying this breakdown of one of the wildest postseasons ever, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. So the 2025 NBA Finals was set. The Cinderella story Pacers versus the young and dominant Thunder. And let me tell you, it delivered. It was a 7-game epic, just filled with drama, incredible highlights, and some absolutely heartbreaking moments. The Pacers, playing completely fearless, marched into Oklahoma City and stole Game 1 thanks to a last-second game-winning shot from Tyrese Halliburton. Just like that, the favorites were on their heels. From there, the series turned into an absolute slugfest. The Thunder would land a punch, and the Pacers would come right back with one of their own. Jalen Williams had a monster 40-point game, proving he was a star made for the biggest stage. For Indiana, Pascal Siakam was that steady veteran force, refusing to let his team back down an inch. After 6 incredible games, it all came down to one night. Game 7. In OKC. With the Larry O'Brien Trophy on the line. The energy in that building was insane, so thick you could feel it. Everything the Thunder had built, and everything the Pacers had fought for, was coming down to the next 48 minutes. Game 7 kicked off with that same frantic pace that defined the whole series. Tyrese Haliburton, who'd been nursing a calf strain, came out on fire. He drained 3 quick three-pointers, giving the Pacers an early jolt. For a minute, it really looked like the ultimate underdog story was going to get its fairy tale ending. And then, disaster struck. Just 7 minutes into the biggest game of his life, Haliburton drove to the basket and just collapsed. It was a non-contact injury. He slammed his fist on the court, and the sound of his agony just echoed through the suddenly silent arena. A torn Achilles. It was a brutally cruel twist of fate that ripped the heart right out of the Pacers' offense and ultimately, their championship dream. To their absolute credit, Indiana kept fighting. They were playing on pure adrenaline and grit, and they actually held a 1-point lead at halftime. But in the third quarter, the Thunder showed the world why they were a championship team. They sensed their moment and just unleashed a defensive onslaught, completely overwhelming the now leaderless Pacers. They went on a huge run, turning that small halftime deficit into a big double-digit lead that Indiana just couldn't overcome. The final buzzer sounded. The Oklahoma City Thunder had won, 103-91. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who had 29 points and 12 assists, was named Finals MVP, putting the trophy right next to his regular season MVP award. It was the first championship in Oklahoma City history, and the franchise's first since they were the Seattle Supersonics back in 1979. But this felt like more than just one title. It felt like a statement. The Thunder's victory, built through years of smart drafting and patience, signaled a massive shift in the NBA. So, is the era of parity over? It's starting to look that way. We might be seeing the dawn of a new dynasty, led by a trio of young stars who just proved they're ready to take the crown. And for the Pacers, it was just a devastating end to a run nobody will ever forget. It's a classic what-if story that basketball fans will probably debate for years to come. The 2025 playoffs will be remembered not just for the team that won, but for how they did it. It was a postseason of upsets, new superstars, and a finals that went the distance. It was the run nobody saw coming, and the start of an era that everyone will now be watching.